It's not League 1, it's League 1. We're not French, and neither do we want to be, because I don't like to eat snails. So let's crack into it then. Tonight we've got Port Vale v Cardiff City. Do like the video if you do go on to, so and all that good stuff. But in the comments, I want you to let me know if you've had a good day. I care about you people. And if you didn't have a good day, do let me know if you didn't and why. I can be your agony aunt for Game Week 3, which is tres in Spanish. So let me know that down there. Port Vale v Cardiff then. I'm going to go with a 1-0 Port Vale win. I just think they'll frustrate Cardiff. I think how deep they'll be will frustrate them. I think they found it very easy to break down Peterborough because they are ill-disciplined and unorganised defensively, so I think that really suited Colville, the Colville brothers, I'm guessing the brothers, and Tanner on the right hand side. They pretty much destroyed Peterborough. Away to Port Vale on a Thursday night, I think a lot of teams are going to pick up the points at home. I find it very hard to look at teams getting points away from home in League 1 this season. And I say that with Cardiff. I think this is going to be the type of game where they're going to get roughened up, they're going to get kicked, and how they're going to react, well, we'll find out, but I think they'll react to a 1-0 defeat. Reading v Huddersfield was a Championship playoff final in 2017. Huddersfield won. Huddersfield beat Leyton Orient comprehensively 3-0. Now, I was more disappointed in Orient than I were Huddersfield, than I was, impressed by Huddersfield. They were that simple, it impressed me, because of that's what you need. You need to grind them out. You need to batter a team when you're not playing well. And I could tell from that they're going to be a side that are getting promoted this season. Whereas Reading losing 2-0 away at Lincoln is not the start you want to have. Whilst I think what you can find from that game is that Lincoln weren't that good. They took the 2 chances, and Reading were rather poor. At home it might be a different story, but I don't think it's going to be, and I think Huddersfield again will grind that out, will be clinical, will have that star power, will take the chance when they get from it. If Reading make a mistake, they'll pounce, and in the meantime they're going to be well organised, disciplined, and they're going to have enough fight in them to win 2-0. The other half-12 kick-off is Peterborough hosting Luton Town. Now, Luton got off to a start which wasn't impressive by any means. They ground out a 1-0 win by an own goal, and I think they only had one shot on target throughout the whole game, either side of that. And I expect the exact same thing. Now, Peterborough aren't going to be as defensively rigid and organised as Wimbledon are, by no means. But I do think Luton are going to struggle to get going for the first few games, and I think they'll find that again, and away from home. But I think they're just going to have that quality. They're going to find a bit of magic, even if it is a bit of a fluke. And I think they will win 2-0, and it will look comfortable. But I'm sure if you're at the game and you're a Luton fan, you're not going to feel comfortable by the performance. Wimbledon take on Lincoln, and basically just echoing how they did against Luton with how organised they were, how disciplined they were. Yes, they scored an own goal, but when you look at the whole game and how organised they were and how hard to break down they're going to be this season, that's something they can take big positives for going into this second game at home as well. Lincoln are a side that haven't got that much creativity, haven't got that. I don't see them having that attacking spark compared to a lot of other teams in this league. So this is a game that Wimbledon have to be targeting points from, and I think they're going to get the first win on the board. Might be a fluke from outside the box from Alistair Smith, and that's what I'm predicting, and I'm going to go 1-0. Barnsley host Burton, and I'm going to go with a 3-0 win for Barnsley in this one, because I think they are going to be that good going forward. Defensively, they've got the injury in Mark Roberts, who's out for 3 months, I think it is. It is going to be a loss, but they needed to improve on him anyway, and I think it's going to spark that need for transfers in that back line. But I don't think Burton have that much to be scared of for Barnsley. I think the way they pressed, the way they got up and up the players in the faces of Plymouth, I think they'll do that again with Burton every game. I'd expect that from Barnsley and Conor Orion's side, and that takes out the threat that they had against Mansfield. The long shots from Webster flew into the back of the net. They didn't close them down. That won't be a problem for Barnsley, I have no doubt about that. And the counter-attacking football they showed, if Burton do get out of their low block, they're going to hit them with pacing behind. And I think they have enough quality to be able to penetrate and be able to create some really good opportunities, which Plymouth didn't exactly allow them. It's going to be a very different game, but I expect the attacking flair and quality in the midfield as well for Barnsley will override anything Burton have, and I think that's a real positive sign for Barnsley, because what I saw in that full night against Plymouth is a side that's going to be up there. We're in for Plymouth though. Bolton host Plymouth. Now it makes sense to continue about Plymouth. They were dreadful. What an awful performance that was, with big concerns about Tom Cleverley and the way this transfer window's gone for Plymouth, because they haven't signed. They haven't got anything up front. They looked really lacklustre. Caleb Rotts did put in a great shift and looked a live wire. But is he a striker? No. Is he going to offer any threat of holding up the ball? No. They definitely need more in there. But the defence was absolutely terrible. And coming into a Bolton side who I thought showed signs of promise, that there's a lot of positivity to coming from that Stockport game. They're not going to face much of a tougher game, and they're not going to chuff in do better. They're not going to face a much tougher team, and I think I can expect Bolton, and they had a few injuries as well, and players missing in that game. The wingers are going to cause a nightmare for that Plymouth backline. I'm going to go 3-0 Bolton with confidence. Exeter v Blackpool. Exeter, they didn't have a shot on target against Doncaster. They got peppered and rightfully deserved to lose that game against the Blackpool side that did make two big errors leading to goals against Stevenage and were pretty woeful at the back. So maybe they can hope for an error again, but I don't think that's going to happen. Not with a manager like Steve Bruce. That's what they'll be prepared for. They will be prepared for that. That's what they'll be drilled on training. The defending. So it's going to be a clean sheet. Exeter definitely not scoring. I don't see where the goals are coming from anyway, to be honest with you. And I'm going to go over 1-0 Blackpool win. Leyton Orient v Wigan. Two teams at the complete opposite of the spectrum from last weekend. Leyton Orient, there was nothing there. Richie Wellens came out and blamed the new players coming into the team, and that's why he should have adapted. Well, I'm sorry, Huddersfield have a complete new team and setup, which may be easy for them, but Bradford City, a very similar situation to Leyton Orient. We blew Wickham away for the first 60 minutes of the game and looked very convincing with only 3 players who started in the last game of last season. And yes, to be fair, 2 of them were the goal scorers, and one of them was the keeper who made some good saves during the game. Orient's best players have gone, so there's an adjustment period there, and we knew that. But how poor that performance was nowhere near what I expected from an Orient team. They looked absolutely clueless. And Wigan, you couldn't get much of a better performance, and complete as well. Defensively looked solid, apart from the goal, which I think there's question marks there. But the midfield, really impressed with the new signing on the right. I forgot his name, Murray, something like that, or Wallace. Not Murray Wallace, definitely not him. Ungbo as well. The 2 wing backs were so good going up and down that flank. And Sadie, I was so impressed with him. His hold-up play. The League One Mateta, I can safely say that. He looks like he's going to be some player for Wigan this season. I think he'll get on the score sheet, and I'm going to go over 2-0 Wigan win. Mansfield lost last weekend, continued their terrible start to 2025 and we're in August. I mean, how bad has it been for them? It couldn't get much worse, could it? Can't go on like this, can it? Well, I don't think it will, to be honest with you. I do think there's going to be a win coming from somewhere. They're at home, but I think they've got to start quick. And I think they will. And I'm going to go over 2-1 Mansfield win. I do think that they have goals in them, although I see the weakest area in the attack for Mansfield, yet they still manage to score goals. Just think how good they could be with a proven clinical striker who can actually hold the ball up league regularly. But they've got goals in them. The midfield needs rethinking. I don't know what Nigel Clough was thinking with that lineup, but I think if they can have that quick start, can go 1-0 up. Doncaster don't look the same attacking side they were last season, evidenced with that Exeter game without Rob Street, and I do expect them to be conceding goals this season without a team like Exeter who offered nothing going forward. So I think if Mansfield start quick, it can change the atmosphere, and I think they can then put the foot on the gas and get another. But they're always going to concede, aren't they? So 2-1. My team against Northampton, we travelled to 6 fields in numbers, sold out away allocation, and we've got a fantastic record against Northampton. We weren't a good away last season. 5 away wins all season is dreadful for a team who got promoted. I mean, it questions how you did get promoted, but when you look at the home form, and I think it'll echo that this season. But this is one away game we sort of have to win. Northampton was so poor, so far off it against Wigan. Similar to how Plymouth started, I couldn't figure out what Northampton was shaping up like. I do like the two midfielders, but I think we could easily outrun them in midfield. We've sort of before in midfield with the two 10s and the two 8s. We can massively outrun them in Forner and Campbell, because they're not blessed with pace, and I think Forner can easily get caught too high up the pitch. I do think if I go in my head, I'm going 1-1. But I have to go in my heart, and I do think this is a game we have to be targeting a win, more than most, especially away. So I'm going to go for 2-1. Stevenage, Rotherham, two sides who I don't think have a lot of creativity, especially Rotherham, as you saw from the Port Vale game. To be able to be down to 10 men and look a much worse team, and the other team to look miles better than you when you are a man in advantage, is a very worrying sign. Stevenage got the win against Blackpool, which is a huge win. They're now at home as well with the home advantage, and they were very clinical with the chances that they got. Blackpool made mistakes, they pounced on them, and I expect them to do that in every game. I don't see what Rotherham can offer apart from San Nombe in this game, in every game, to be honest with you, and I think that's how this will play out as well. I think that they won't be able to break down Stevenage, and they'll nick a 1-0 win. And then finally, Wycombe v Stockport. Watched Wycombe first hand last weekend. They were dreadful. They were so poor, and we all know about Mike Dodds and how poor of a manager he is. And I saw it first hand. I was so surprised. It will be a tough outfit at home because they are a rough and ready side. And so for that, when I look at Stockport, we know the team sheet ability. We know how good and organised Stockport are going to be. You probably watched them against Bolton. I expect it to be a similar game where Stockport maybe don't have a lot of the ball. They soak up the pressure. They're quick on the counters. They'll play the 1-2s. I think they could find it easy to bypass Wycombe if they come onto them. But I think it could be quite a tight game, to be honest with you, and I'm going to go 1-0 Stockport. So they're my predictions for the upcoming League 1 Game Week 2 score predictions. Let me know yours in the comments down below. Like the video if you did go on to do so, subscribe if you're new as well, and if you want to. It is going to be a very exciting weekend again. Lots of good fixtures, and let me know how you're feeling going into it, and let me know how you're feeling today, like I said at the beginning of the video. Have a good one.